looks like, what do we got? Hits, bits, everything.
Yeah.
Martha, make sure your microphone's working there.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
All right.
Need to go
Yeah,
up.
we may need to come up in the monitor there, Dave, for sure, and maybe outside. But how's it going?
Well, you got cowboys everywhere.
They are everywhere out
Oh my
here.
gosh.
Here in Las Vegas. Have you been here for the whole time, or did you just roll in?
No, we came in Wednesday. So we've been
Wednesday.
Here the whole time.
You've been here long enough, then,
Yeah.
haven't you?
Yeah.
What I want to talk about, first of all, kind of your take on the barrel racing so far. I'm sure you've been watching, in different horses. Taylor Jacob, she set the arena record last night, but talk about that. Give us kind of your insight on the barrel racing so far.
Oh, it's probably one of the toughest barrel races ever.
Yes, ma'am.
A lot of good cowgirls and lots of good horses. And I tell everybody a good barrel horse is like looking for a good quarterback.
Right.
They're hard. Those Peyton Mannings and all those good
Right.
quarterbacks are hard to find. And a good barrel horse,
Sure.
we really have to watch and hunt for them.
Yes, ma'am. You won your world championship, the year you decided to go for the world championship. It was at 1980, is that right?
Yes.
And you won it that year. Tell us about that.
Well, anytime you see somebody here at a rodeo at the NFR, they have traveled hard and they've worked hard.
Yes,
and they've
ma'am.
been really dedicated. And that year I set my sights to win the world.
Yes, ma'am.
And right before the NFR started, I had qualified in the American Quarter Horse Association on my horse, Sonny Bitterboat.
Yes, ma'am.
And he won that. And so after winning the world, he's the only horse that ever did that
Right, sure.
in the same year.
Right. And Martha, folks, she's not just a barrel racer. I mean, you're a world-renowned, horse trainer, as far in our book you are, but talk about some of your past horses. I think I read somewhere, an unbelievable stat, 7 horse trailers, 52 rodeos in a row. Was that on CB Reed? Is that right?
Yeah.
But I mean, that just blows my mind.
He was the first horse that I made the finals on. I made them in 68 and 69. I was minus 10 years old then, y'all.
Right, exactly.
And he was I always said he was like Patsy Cline. He was before his time.
Right, sure.
Because I had a cowboy come up to me last night and they said, if you still had CB, he would still be here.
Still be in the mix, I'm sure.
And so I've been real fortunate to have rode some really good horses.
Oh, absolutely. We'll talk a little bit. We've had a lot of, bull riders and team ropers and calf ropers and barrel racers up here. We had Taylor up here, and we've been talking with Anissa Self, several days. And I'm educated now on barrel racing, but talk about, I think a lot of people don't see, going up and down the road, they see Las Vegas or, they see it on TV, but talk about how difficult it is even just to make the NFR.
Oh, the miles that it takes, and then I've got a good chauffeur. My husband is a PRCA calf roper too.
Ma'am.
But it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of determination, but then you've got to have the desire to want to do it.
Right.
So it's when you see anybody out there that's riding at this NFR, they have worked hard to get here, and
Yes,
it's a long trail.
Sure.
But it's been really rewarding for me. I went in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s.
Right. That's
and
4
I was
decades.
actually trying to go back for the 5th decade at a
Really?
little rodeo, and I came running out of the alleyway, and they had the gate open by mistake, and then they shut it right in front of me.
No.
My horse and I both went over the fence.
Wow.
And they said, never walk again, never ride again.
Really?
But barrel racer, we don't go for
Showed
camps.
them. Yeah, showed them, didn't you?
Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to visit with you about, I'm not sure if I have my year right, but maybe 1988, will you talk about the Winter Olympics for us?
Oh, that was so much fun.
I bet.
We were actually all at the motel, and Joe Beavers was filling out something, and I said, Joe, what are you doing? He said, I'm filling out all my papers for the Winter Olympics. I said, Olympics? How are you getting to go to the Olympics? He said, it's first, second, third, how we ended up at the NFR this year. And I said, oh my gosh, I can go too. And that was really one of the highlights of my life, because getting to be with other athletes, was something. First thing I did when I got on my horse was ride up to a guy, and he was sitting down doing all kind of push-ups and everything. And I said, what event are you in? He said, Russia Goldie. I said, oh my gosh. But it was really fun, getting to watch everything.
Where was that held?
Calgary, Canada.
Calgary, I'll be darned.
And of course, Lane Frost was there with us.
Ma'am.
He was on our team, and our team won the gold medal, so that was really an accomplishment.
Oh, I bet. And like I told you earlier, I'm going to let you get to it here because I could sit here and talk all day long with you. But ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to listen up. It's brought to you by our friends at Circle Y. She's a world champion barrel racer, world-renowned, horse trainer. I'm going to let you take it over, and I wanted to say thank you for being with us, and you're welcome on this stage at any time, okay?
Thank you,
all right, thank
John.
you, ma'am. I'll let you have it.
Okay, thank you. First of all, we've been having schools for 47 years at the Josey Ranch. I think I had probably one of the very first barrel racing clinics ever in Connecticut back a long time ago. And now we have them every year at our place. And just last Thanksgiving, we had 88 barrel racers from 10 different states. So we've also got a team that go out on the road. So if y'all ever want to have a clinic in your hometown or your state, be sure and let us know, because I've got a team that are really, really good that go out and we have clinics. We just recently, about 30 some odd years ago, I went to the NFR and somebody said, this is fun, but let's go have something for the youth. And so we went back to Marshall, Texas, and we have the world champion youth barrel race for kids and 20 and under. And in the past 30 years, we've paid out over $1 million in prize money, $1 million in prizes, and over $500,000 in college scholarships. And then we also have the reunion. If you've ever been to one of our clinics and schools, you get to come to the reunion. Circle Y has been really one of my very favorite sponsors through the years, and I've been with them a long time. And I'm just going to show you some of the things that we're doing with Circle Y. This is probably one of the very favorite barrel racing bits in history. It's called the $1 million bit. And the reason it's called the $1 million bit because it has actually won over $1 million on different horses. This is called the medium shank one. We've got the long shank. We've got the shorter, it's called no shank. But what works so good on this bit, and we use it a lot during our clinic, the rope over the nose gives you a little bit of give here. It's got the 3-piece mouthpiece in the center. And of course, we always like bit guards on our bits. And it's got a little bit of a gag, and it's really a great bit. And any time that you've got a horse and you don't know exactly what to put on them, I guarantee this will probably work. And there's thousands of bits out there. And I probably bought about 200 of them in my lifetime. But not all of them, it's like everything else, not all of them work. They've got to really be balanced. And Circle Y has worked really hard with us to work to get things that are balanced. If you go pick up a bit, just look at it and say, does this really look like it will fit my horse? And will it be so it won't hurt him? Because I like to keep a horse working because they like to win, not because I'm forcing them. So this is one of the very favorite bits. Another favorite bit, and I like to tell my barrel racers that always try to learn 3 things at one time. And that's whether it's in life or in barrel racing or whatever. You can't remember everything. So one of my main things that I like to talk about, you got to have confidence when you ride, when you rope, or if you've got a job, you've got to have confidence. The next thing that's so important starts with an F, and you got to focus. And that, barrel racers have to learn how to focus. And just like when you see those girls coming down the alleyway every night here at the NFR, they're focusing on their spot where they're supposed to go to at that first barrel. And then the next thing that you've got to have is direction. And that means, you got to know what you want to do. There's some people that like to ride just because it's fun and it's recreation. And then there's somebody like me. I'm really, really competitive, and I like to win. So if you want a barrel race, first thing you need to do is have confidence, have focus, and then have the direction. And how many barrel racers we got in the crowd out here today? Good. How many would like to be a barrel racer? That's the one thing about barrel racing. It doesn't matter if you're 6 years old or you're 80 years old, you can barrel race. All you need is a good horse. And I tell my students, when you're looking for that good horse, it's kind of like good horses are hard to find, kind of like good husbands are hard to find. And if you get a bad horse, they're kind of like a husband. They're awfully hard to get rid of. So when you're looking for that horse, really, I've got a new book coming out, and the first thing that I did when I started this book, I called Judd Little, and he's one of the main people that has the best stallions in the world. And it's Judd Little Ranches, y'all remember that. And I said, send me a picture of a really good conformation horse. And he did. And this horse was so pretty and so balanced. If you go look at it for a barrel horse, look at what they're going to do. They've got to be able to sit down around a barrel, really use their rear ends. They've got to keep that head right. And I like a barrel horse to be kind of like a cutting horse. They've got to go out and cow that barrel. They've got to go hunt that barrel. And Taylor Jacobs is kind of that horse that's been winning so good here. He goes out and really hunts that barrel. So when you go look for these horses, know how to look. And then the next thing that's real important, go to a good school or clinic. Because a lot of the people that are having clinics, they've had the experience. I know the first year that we had a clinic, we were on an airplane getting ready to fly up to this clinic, and I said to my husband, what are we going to tell them? He said, tell them everything you know. And I said, I don't know anything. But through the years, you get a lot of experience. You get to know how to look for these great horses, how to pick out your equipment. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Okay, back to the bits. I like to tell my barrel racers, if you've got a really favorite bit for competition that is really winning for you, don't leave it on them all the time. Because a horse knows when you put that competition bit on that he's getting ready to go do his job. So learn how to practice in something else. This is a real great little bit. It's good to get bending and flexing, and it's just a little 3-piece, and it's got a short shank. This is called the Josey Mitchell bit. Ty Mitchell is one of our instructors, and he won the Junior World 4 years in a row, and this was one of the bits that he really, really likes. But you want something that just to get a little bit of bend. So this would be a good exercise for walking or loping circles, just something nice and easy. So remember, competition bit is for competition. Have you a couple of good practice bits. And another thing, I'm going to talk just a little bit about shoeing. And I know there's a lot of good horseshoers in the crowd today, but having your horse well shod is probably so important. You'll be in different types of ground, and the way that we shoe our barrel horses, we want them slick behind and a little bit wider behind, and we don't like to use the rim shoes in behind because we want a horse to be able to slide and put that rear end up under him. So just a regular slick shoe behind. And then one of the very favorite in front is just the rim shoe, and it's called a St. Troy. And if you want to see what most barrel racers are using, it's probably those two shoes. You know, I like to study winners. What do the winners use? And after so many years of shoeing horses and using equipment, you know how to look for what you really believe in, but it's got to work. You know, and I'm going to talk about saddles next, because what's in between you and that horse is so important. And I've been with Circle Y for, I imagine, about 30 years. But what I wanted in a saddle is something in front, and this is called the swell. And this will, you don't want your leg when you're sitting in this saddle to be jammed up against this swell. You want to have about 2 inches right here in between your leg and the swell. And the reason is you want to be able to move in that saddle. But if you're right against this, that's going to make your saddle horn right here. You always want your saddle horn out in front of you, almost like it's your plate to eat out of. And a real good thumb, everybody wants to know, what size saddle do I use? Okay, this is a 15. Okay, this is a real good rule of thumb that will help you. Just double your fist up right here, and if your whole arm cannot get down in that, the saddle's probably too small. Now this is a 15. I ride a 14.5, so this saddle would be about a 1/2 inch too big for me. Okay, this is a 14, okay? This saddle would be a little bit short for me, and when I'm saying short, right here. Okay, this is a 14.5. See how my arm goes perfect down in there? Okay, so that's really important. Learn what size seat that you should wear, because a lot of people, they'll think, I'm big, but I want a 12-inch seat, and that doesn't work. You want something that is really comfortable to you. Okay, one reason that we've got the taller horn on our saddle, because this is the old-timey fashion way to hold on. You want to put your hand around the saddle horn and grip it, because it's easier to push yourself down and pull yourself up. So you don't hold on like this anymore. That's why you want that taller horn, kind of like riding a cutting horse. But this is so important. This is that swell. And it's got to be tall enough that it will keep you from going over that horse's head. Okay, probably one of the most favorite things right here is to be able to feel your horse right here. And with Circle Y, we have put together what we call the pocket seat. And it's a pocket because it feels like you're sitting on your horse, not up on top of your horse. You're with your horse, so that's important. Okay, the next thing, this is the candle or the seat of your saddle. And a lot of people think, I need a tall, tall, tall seat. Well, that's fine if it doesn't throw you forward. So it's really important that the angle of this seat is just exactly right. I could take this seat and push it forward a 1/2 inch and throw a person over the front of your saddle. So we've taken a lot of time to get this exactly right. This is a 4.5. This is an 8.5 here. And that means from your horse up to the top. Okay, one thing that we've done with our saddles that is so important, we have taken, and this is on a forward hung swivel right under here. And your feet will not get behind you. If you ever see a barrel racer and the first thing their feet get behind them and they go out over the top of a horse, that is no fun. And so this is why we put the swivel here. And another thing that we like really, really well, these saddles, when you get them from Circle Y, they're already pre-turned. A lot of times you'll see a person, they'll buy a new saddle and they'll have to go get a broom to stick in there. And you don't want to have to do that because I'm going to have to. I'll get that in a minute. One other thing that I really want to talk about is a stirrup. And I like a wider stirrup because we're trying to balance ourselves on top of this saddle. If you get the little bitty stirrup, that's kind of like riding broncs, and you keep your feet swinging, but you don't have the balance. So we like the 3-inch stirrup, and we like the aluminum because it's a little bit lighter weight. But here again, it's for balance. It's kind of like if you're on a tightrope and you're way up in the sky, do you feel more comfortable on a wide board or a little thin board? So everything that we put into our saddles is really, really working. And do y'all have any questions on saddles? Anybody? What about bits? On a treeless, I've actually come out with a new saddle that is called a flex tree, and it's still got a tree, but it's a flex, and it will kind of conform to the horse. I really don't know because I've never really ridden a treeless saddle, and I'm sure that the best thing in the world is get on your own saddle that you're trying to buy and go make a barrel racing run. That's the main thing, because if it fits you, it'll fit you, or you'll feel comfortable. And you know, here again, you kind of look and what are the girls out there at the top 15 that made the world championship riding? You know, study. I would love to be sitting in the alleyway and saying, what bit do you use? What saddle do you use? Because, you know, they've done it, they went out and done it, and that's what they're winning on. So, you know, that I know what has really suited me, and we are coming out with a flex. And really the reason we're coming out with a flex, I have been so satisfied with this line of saddles. But the reason we're coming out with a flex, because the really wide-shouldered horses, it will fit them. And this saddle, it comes on a regular tree, and then it comes on the wider tree. So, you know, you can order it either direction. But on the flex, it'll fit either one. So this is important. Do y'all like, say, the square skirt or a round skirt? What do y'all think? Round? Okay. One reason I love the rough out right here, because the tooling is really pretty all the way, but this rough out will stick a little bit better to your pants leg. So that's really important. You just get a little bit more of a grip with the rough out. Any other questions? Oh, the back cinch. I think some saddles require it, and some barrel racers just think that they need it. My saddles, the way it's built, they do not require a back cinch. They stay down real good. And if a barrel racer wants to use a back girt, that's fine. But if you do use it, it doesn't do any good unless it's tight enough to touch the belly. And most barrel racers that use a back girt will not have it tight enough to do any good. And the reason they use it is to keep a saddle from flipping up. And we have just tried to balance this saddle where you don't need it, because a lot of times, a long time ago, I would be kicking and I'd be touching my back girt, you know. And so this is why we tried to get away from the back girt. And the front girt is so important too. We'll see a lot of barrel racers, they'll come to our clinics, and after 2 or 3 days, they've got a girt that is really hurting their horses or scalding them. And I I still love the good old mohair girt, and you'll see them everywhere around here. And I use the girt cover over the top because you can wash that. You can't wash a mohair girt, but you can wash that, and then you've got a horse that won't get sore. So I think that really, really helps too. Y'all are asking some good questions. Y'all got some more? What about the barrel race out there? Y'all all enjoying it? Oh, it's really, really good. And you know, when you come down that alleyway, it's kind of hard to see that first barrel when you're running out that alleyway. So you got to have that horse that will kind of go hunt and look, and you have to really give a lot. All of them got so much dedication, and they're doing so good, you know. And I think just about everybody's won money already, and that's always a great thing. He was talking about Anissa Self, and she's one of our students and came to our school many, many years. And then she sold her horse 4 or 5 years ago to Carly Pierce that did hold the arena record until last night. So a lot of our students, you know, didn't really have the career that they wanted to go down the road, but they wanted to buy, train, and sell good horses. And that's a really good way to make a good living, because the girls that are on the road, it's kind of hard for them to take the time to train because they're out competing. So there's always a market for a really good horse. So if you got the time to train, you know, there's a lot of good money in making a good barrel horse. Any other questions?
What are your favorite rider and horse teams this year at the finals that you enjoy watching?
Several. I love Sherry Serving, the way she rides. Yeah, she just kind of a master. Very good. Really uses her head. She and Stingray have just done marvelous together. But Sherry's a pretty tall girl, you know. And when you get tall, you got to really ride good, and she rides really, really well. I like every horse here, and all the riders are really good. One of my other very favorite horses has got to be Louis. Lisa Lockhart. And the reason, because he just goes out and does the same thing every trip. And I've got several horses in the past that I actually did demonstrations on where I'd take the bridle off. So my ultimate goal after I get a horse completely trained, I want to take the bridle off and see if he'll still go work. And there's some of them in this pen that will definitely go work without a bridle. And so that's what you really want when you get them ultimately trained, is that they'll go work without having to do a bunch with your hands. And there's so many, the top 15 horses are so great this year, and the riders, lots of good riders. I actually was on the shuttle bus with the people that had owned Taylor Jacobs' horse. And they sold that horse to her a couple of years ago. And I said, really, where y'all going now? They were going to Oklahoma City to the futurity that's going on right now. And we've got a horse that's running at in the juvenile, and that's for 3-year-olds there. And our horse is by Eddie Stinson, who is the fastest runner of Dash to Fame, and out of a mare that we trained, and her name is Stinson's Run and Turn. And I had to be here, so I couldn't ride her at Oklahoma City, but I've got a real good intern that's riding her. But she's never been to a big show before, so I called her a while ago and I said, just go do your job, you know. That's real important. And you know, from hauling down the road, I've always said a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do to win. One year, Josie and I were hauling, and I was the only year that I really said, I'm going to go win the world this year. And my husband's really motivated. Anyway, I said, Josie, I'm up at 2 rodeos in one day. What am I going to do? he said, where are you up? I said, I'm up at Oklahoma City in the afternoon, and I'm up at Omaha, Nebraska that night. He said, oh, get you an airplane. I said, oh, I did not think about that. Hello, how much is an airplane? Millions of dollars. I said, oh, I can't afford that. You got a twin engine? Yes, how much? $2,500. Oh, I'll take that. $2,500. I said, Josie won't carry. He said, get me an airplane. I said, oh, by the way, I need 2 pilots, because if one of them dies up there, has a heart attack, I cannot land this thing. I want 2. How much is that? That's another $250. So anyway, I got to Oklahoma City, and he had already said, I'll take one horse to Omaha, and you take the other one to Oklahoma City, then get you an airplane, okay? I said, oh, got my airplane. So anyway, when I got through at Oklahoma City, I got on my airplane, and I flew into Omaha, and I said, what's that there? Oh, Mr. Josey got you a yellow cab. I said, a yellow cab? I said, what's that over there? Oh, that's a white limousine. I said, how far is it to the rodeo? 2 blocks? I said, good. How much for the limousine? $250? I'll take it. And I mean, I got in that limousine, and I got to the rodeo, and first thing Josie said, how much was your Delta airline ticket? I said, Delta? That means don't ever leave Texas again. He never did find out how much it cost me. I think I might have won both rodeos, but I didn't win enough to pay for all that. But I've always said, you know, a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. And that's shopping too, y'all. You know, always go out and hunt. And this is a perfect opportunity to get to look and try and different styles of things. Right, John? I love it. I'm going to be signing autographs at the Circle Y booth, and that number is, and I'm going to tell you, 507. It's right over there, and I will be there. And we've enjoyed it.
Ladies and gentlemen, she's a legendary barrel racer. She's a world champ. She's an Olympic medalist. Like she said, she'll be back at the Circle Y booth. It's kind of back towards the back on the left there. And Martha, we appreciate it. Like I said, you're welcome up here anytime, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, Martha Josey.